tell us more about what's to come in 2025, Colin. I'm really interested in what else you have there.
Yeah, I think 2025 is going to be a super exciting year for Clarity. I think obviously just in the greater landscape of technology, there's a lot of cool things going on. And so us as Clarity, we can leverage some of those new tools that are available and build awesome experiences for users. I think also not only leveraging the Copilot, but also exploring new groups of users that we can really cater to, or even new avenues of consuming kind of the Clarity data itself. So first, one thing I really wanted to call out is a stronger focus going forward on advertisers. We think the core use case for Clarity is pretty clear for an advertiser, right? Like you want to know from a given campaign, how are those users interacting with my website? How are they progressing through that conversion flow? Are they converting? If so, why? If not, why as well? But kind of the hard part now is that the data is kind of siloed, right? Like Clarity has the behavioral side, and then whatever tool you're using for advertising has your own metrics as well. And so a lot of the times we're seeing users trying to bounce back and forth between the two and try to do connecting the dots between two kind of products, which is a bit tough. And so an emphasis going forward is how can we bring those two together where you can, with a single pane of glass within Clarity, easily access, what was my click-through rate for a given campaign? What was the conversion rate for a given campaign? And then if you notice, say, an anomaly, a spike, or a dip, then without having to go anywhere, then view the heat maps recordings, try to figure out what went wrong or what went right, maybe. And so that's kind of a big focus for us going forward. Number two is related to the insights, but going a step further and really increasing or reducing the amount of time it takes to get to these key insights. And so one question that we're trying to solve is from the user perspective, say, hey, I have 5 minutes on Clarity. I want to know what are the most important things I should be caring about and what I should be doing. And so thinking about it from that lens is how we're really thinking about the future of Clarity and insights. Like, can we provide users the most important tidbits right away, explain why, back it up with the actual Clarity data and all the heat maps recordings we already provide. And then again, package the suggested improvements in like a very clean, nice user experience. So you're not spending, an hour in Clarity trying to figure out what happens. We're giving you those key insights as soon as possible. That's the key area. Third is a Clarity mobile experience for like an actual mobile application. And we think this is a great opportunity for Clarity because, again, the data that we're working with is visual, it's engaging. There's a lot to view and see. And so that's not just looking at numbers and metrics that are pretty boring. And so we think having this sort of visual like variety like lends itself well for a mobile experience. You can imagine if there's a sudden increase or decrease in a given metric, you can then see from your phone, get like, hey, this is what's happening, here's why. And then you can then take that, and then if you want to make any quick decisions there, you can, or you can bring that knowledge back to the web portal once you have time to actually sit down and kind of dive deeper. But we think the visual elements and the quick snippets, possibly from recordings from heat maps, would lend itself well for a mobile experience. And this is still something we're exploring. And then fourth is kind of more general, just like an industry observation, is thinking about how SEO will change for a more chat-first world. Obviously, Google has been the default for such a long time, and we're seeing a lot of disruption there. But when you do search queries in Copilot, for example, there are still links to websites and products. And so I think a lot of the same thoughts for SEO that apply to Google would also have to apply to a chat experience. Maybe the core like work items are a bit different, but I think overall, just thinking about how you can optimize your website for ranking in a chat experience is still something that will be super important because it's almost a higher signal, right? If you get a link that is annotated from Copilot, that's maybe only 3-4 links that are provided, versus a Google result has the 10 blue links plus more. And so there's like a curated set of links that are given. And so how can you be one of those four is kind of a big, I would say a big question, but also a big opportunity as well.
So
So
Microsoft Clarity is going to help us crack that code to be one of the four. Is that what I'm hearing?
yeah, I think you like understanding again, like how users are actually interacting with the website, maybe how the copy is looking can all be kind of bubbled up into this.
Yeah, I know that 2025, that's a focus for most marketers that I talk to is as more and more people move to an AI generated search,
Yeah.
how are we competing there and what does that look like? Because it is different. It is different than what you mentioned. It is different than Google or Bing, and it's a different layout, and people are prompting it differently. So I'm really happy to hear that Microsoft Clarity is thinking that direction too. We're going to need it.
Yeah, I guess I have just one question to throw back to you. Like, do you see any themes for next year from your end?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think for our clients, like a lot of what we talked about today are always top of mind, and especially, we launched a massive rebrand and a new website for one of our core clients most recently, and so you always see that like huge dive, and it's coming back, but you're always holding your breath for when those comebacks happen. And so I think with all of the improvements in analytics and the fact that you can find answers quicker, that's just going to help marketers pivot faster. Things that would probably take us 3 months to really like review and analyze. Now we can come in here, ask Copilot a question, get an answer, go to our other analytics tools, verify that answer, and be able to make pivots faster. And I think that's the theme for us for 2025 is like what would be something we would wait and analyze for a longer period of time to make sure it's not just a blip is unfortunately not the grace that we have anymore with all of the changes and how fast AI is being adopted and how fast you're using in every platform. We have to be much more agile, and we have to test and move much faster than historically when you could kind of sit and wait and look at the results. So that's something that our team is really focused on for 2025 is really being as agile as the technology that everyone's adopting.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, now that we've explored kind of a lot of the Clarity key features and scenarios, I just want to wrap it up with just some general best practices for using behavioral analytics as a whole to improve your website. So first is really, again, identifying user struggles. This is where the heat maps, the recordings, that really rich information provides that additional context as to what is the underlying user behavior behind the metrics up and down. And so this is the real key differentiator for using a behavioral analytics tool. So really leverage that. Related to that is also uncover the hidden opportunities. So this goes back to more of the session insights or the heat map insights. So based off of the user struggles, can either you yourself uncover what the improvements should be, or can you lean on Copilot to do a lot of that ideation, that creative thinking for you as well, and work together to then come up with some good solutions for those opportunities. Third is also really leveraging testing and validating kind of before and afters or comparing things as well. So validating assumptions, right? Like for a heat map, we see this all the time for that users almost do like an A/B test where they have an existing design and then they'll create a test variant and then actually see the heat map differences or go into recordings and see how the user flows were different between what they thought users would like and then what they actually did. And so I think Clarity is an awesome tool for really validating assumptions here as well. In terms of tracking events, this goes back to the smart events and the funnels. Um, Clarity provides a lot of metrics out of the box, but the real power of behavioral analytics, but analytics in general, is being customized and specific for your given use case. And so that's where we're actually defining what these key events are. Will only make the Clarity product more specific to your use case, and you're able to track the key conversions that you actually care about. Because we can have maybe a good idea more broadly, but again, if there's something specific to your specific use case, that's where those smart events come to play. And then finally, just measuring and iterating. Like we view analytics not as just like a one-time thing you do every now and then, but it's like a continuous loop, continuous cycle of measuring and improving. It's like I think just being curious and experimenting, right? Like, hey, let's change this. Let's see how that affected our conversion rate or user behavior. Go analyze, see what happened, make another change, and then to complete that cycle. Because I think the whole goal is just making the best user experience possible. And that's something you have to always work on. And so we think having that iterative cycle is the best way for doing that.